Hi, how are you doing today? So this is a video, like it says, about my life as an actor, why I started acting, what I like about acting, my history of me when it comes to acting, which, especially if you don't know me, you know me because we met somewhere in LA, or we're a connection, as they like to say in LA. This is a pretty important video. I'm gonna go on a nice walk too. I think that's a little more interesting than just with my setup of a blank wall behind me that I have for auditions. So I'm 34. My name is Ben. When I was 8 years old, I was in the first play that I was in. It was in third grade. I remember it. It was awesome. We wrote a play about the destruction of the butterfly habitats in the Amazonian rainforest, and we called it Fly Hard with a Vengeance, which is a very genius title. I'm surprised that my buddy, my 8-year-old friend at the time, even thought of it. And so we did this, and it was really good, awesome, and I loved doing it. Then my parents signed me up for acting classes outside of school. I remember being in a play of The Secret Garden where I played Colin, who was someone in a wheelchair. Remember, The Secret Garden, that movie where there's that kid in the wheelchair. He can't move his legs. So I played him. And again, I liked it. And I felt like I had natural talent. I felt like it was the first thing that I ever done in my life that I just felt like I could do it. Have you ever seen the movie The Good Will Hunting? Not The Good Will Hunting, Good Will Hunting. And there's that scene with Matt Damon. He's talking to his girlfriend. And he's like, when it came to math and history and chemistry, he could just play. So that's how I felt about acting, and I loved it. And I loved kind of when you're in a play, there's this connection with the audience, and that was amazing. And I was like, you know what, I think I found my thing. And so then I kept doing acting classes after school. I kept acting in school plays. I remember, this is pretty funny, when I was in I think it was 5th grade, we did a version of the play, the Shakespeare play, The Merchant of Venice. And I remember this because, this play, The Merchant of Venice, it has a lot of potentially anti-Semitic content in it, because back in the 1500s, that was pretty popular opinion. And people were very racist, anti-Semitic and everything back then. Anyway, so I'm saying this because I remember we did a version of this play, The Merchant of Venice, where they cut out all the potential anti-Semitism in it. And it was this made-for-kids version, which is very funny if you think about it. And that was awesome, and I did that. And then after that, I was in middle school and high school, and I kept acting in school plays and in these places after school. And I remember I was in a play called Harvey, which is a play about somebody who is schizophrenic, sees this rabbit named Harvey that's not there, but he's a very nice and polite and very friendly man. He's not like what you think of when you think of somebody who's has issues like that. And then I remember I had a small part, but it's at the end, and I played the taxi driver. And the taxi driver, he's a very small part, but he's very essential to the play, because what happens is, so they're thinking about giving this guy who can see a rabbit that's not there I think a lobotomy, which is a procedure where they remove part of your brain. And then my character, the taxi driver, comes in, and he's talking to the people who are going to be responsible for doing this procedure. And he says, you know what, every single time I drive people up to this place and they get a procedure, they're always so nice and personable and friendly. And then they get this procedure and they're just boring and a terrible person. And I remember there's a line where he goes just like everyone else. and then he leaves. and then they don't end up getting the procedure for him, and they allow him to, kind of see his rabbit forever. It's not there, but at least he's like a really nice, cool guy. And I really like that part. And I remember the director saying to me or someone, wow, this person, me, has a lot of, natural talent. And I remember that, and I loved it, and I kept doing it. And I felt like a bit like an outcast, at school. Like I didn't fit in, and I did get bullied, essential, that's completely the wrong word, but a certain amount, and it was kind of my escape from all of that. And whenever I was acting, I felt more like it was more real than life itself. And so I kept, being in these plays, and then in high school I was in like Guys and Dolls and a few more Shakespeare plays like As You Like It and Twelfth Night. And I remember I went to a summer camp where I was in some plays, and it was great. And it just felt right when I was acting in these. It just felt right. And so then, I remember my final play that I was in when I was in high school was a play called Heaven Can Wait, which is a play about somebody, a boxer actually, who I believe he gets hit by a car, or something happens where he dies. And then he goes to heaven, and the angels in heaven reveal that they actually took his soul too early. Like, I think he's about to be hit by a car, and like half a second before he gets hit, the angels take his soul up to heaven. And they shouldn't have done that, because apparently if they hadn't have done that in that half second of time before the car hit, he would have done something where he wouldn't have died. So because of this, because the angels messed up, they agree to put his soul back into another person. And so they put his soul, this boxer, back into this other person who I believe is like this rich guy who's just very snooty and completely the opposite of what you think a professional boxer would be. And then that leads to very humorous situations, because you have this like boxer, and he's like, I remember in his mansion, and there's like a scene where his friend comes over and he's like shadow boxing while he's in this like suit and tie, and that was like the first leading, I guess, role that I was in, which was great because we always did musicals, and I'm a very good actor, but I was never that great at singing or dancing. And then I applied for colleges, and I applied for acting programs at colleges, and I applied to, all the top of the top schools in America, which, like conservatories, Juilliard, SUNY Purchase, Carnegie Mellon, and then just like acting programs at non-conservatories, but were also considered very good, like NYU. Well, NYU is kind of like a conservatory, and Fordham, and all these schools. So then, after all of that, I didn't get into the like giant ones like Juilliard, but I found out later that almost nobody gets in the first year after you audition, and you have to like audition several years in a row usually to get in. And I didn't know that at the time, and it's something of a regret that I had, because I might have not gone to school for a year and then auditioned again there and at some other places like SUNY Purchase the second year. But I didn't know that, so there's nothing I could have done about that. I got into the acting school at NYU, the Tisch School of the Arts, which is the like art conservatory there. And I didn't end up going because they charged like $250,000. And I remember it's a very good decision that I decided not to go there. You should only go there, if you come from a family with a lot of money, because obviously, graduating a college with a career in acting and being $250,000 in debt almost immediately is not a very good idea. Of course, when you're young, you don't really know a lot about money, and you think you'll be able to pay it off. And unfortunately, I think a lot of people kind of get scammed by this. So I didn't go there, and I ended up going to just like a BFA program at a college nearby on Long Island called Hofstra University. And I went. So I did a BFA program there, which was great. You get classically trained. You learn about, movement, and you have a class in voice and different acting styles and history of acting and costume design and lighting and all this stuff. And it's a bit like, if you can imagine, if you want to be let's say a hip hop dancer or a dancer on Broadway, and you study ballet, even though you don't necessarily want to be a ballet dancer, it's like it's like a good foundation for everything. So that's what I did. And I remember in college, I was in this play called The Good Person of Szechuan, which is this Bertolt Brecht play. And Bertolt Brecht, he was this famous playwright. He was known for having a lot of very intense moments in his plays at times. And that was good. And then I was in a play called The Shape of Things, where I played the lead. And it's a play about some college student who he's a nerd, and he starts dating this girl, and the girl encourages him to change things about himself, get contacts, get a nose job. And then at the end you find out that she was really just using him to be this what she called a human sculpture for her art school, her art school thesis. So she was basically Amber Heard level of crazy in this play. And it was really good. This play was made into a movie with Paul Rudd at some point. Maybe you've seen it. It's called The Shape of Things. So I did that. I did more Shakespeare. I was cast as Hamlet in Hamlet when I was a sophomore, which was awesome. And I studied the text with an English professor, and I literally learned what every single word and sentence in that play meant, which is great because it is somewhat of a different language, how Shakespeare wrote and how people talked, 500 years ago. So that was great. And I learned a lot, and it was fun. And I was in several other plays there. I was in Cabaret and a bunch of these other plays. And it was great. Then I graduated and I moved to New York City, and I started to work and live in New York City, which was awesome. I did a play at this very famous off Broadway theater called the Theater for the New City. And I was in this play written by this lovely playwright and director Barbara Kahn, and it was a play she wrote, and it was about there was a fire in New York City called the Triangle Shirtwaist Fire, where a lot of women and people were killed, and it was a play about that. It's a very famous tragedy in New York City history. And then I kept auditioning for things, and I did a summer. I was paid to be in this experimental play where everyone wore masks, and I got paid to act in this. It was up in Maine for the summer, and I was paid to, like I just said, to be the lead in this play where we all wore masks. And it was very artistic, and it was very cool. And when you're in your early 20s and you spend a summer somewhere just doing art, it's an incredible experience. It was a lot of fun. And I was getting paid not just to act in the play, but we would get lessons on how to do these plays with masks on. And it was sweet, So that was a lot of fun. And this whole time in New York, I'm getting the newspapers that have all the auditions, and I'm going to all these auditions for various plays and musicals. Now, like I said, I don't sing and dance, so if you don't sing and dance and you're living in New York City, most of the stuff is Broadway where you have to sing and dance. So my selection to, various, my ability to audition for things that I wanted to do was somewhat diminished. Although I remember just like I remember there was an open call for the musical Rent. This is a very funny story. And I went with some friends, and, I don't sing at all, but I do play guitar. And I remember I memorized a REM song, even though I can't sing for shit and I can barely play the guitar. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to go in, very naive of me, and just like somehow get the lead in Rent as somebody who does not sing. And that did not turn out very well, but it was a good learning experience. And then eventually, I went to an open call for like featured extras in this Coen Brothers movie called Inside Llewyn Davis. And I got it, and I have a lot of videos on my channel all about this. But I got this, and then it turned out it wasn't like a featured extra. It was like more of a role than a featured extra. And they needed somebody to play a young Bob Dylan, the folk singer Bob Dylan. And I remember after the audition, where I met the Coen Brothers, I was walking home, and I got a call from the casting director, and they said, Joel Coen told me to tell you not to cut your hair. Which was amazing, because that means I got it. I had a big like Jufro back then, like Bob Dylan had. You got to imagine this. This was a while ago, You got to imagine a big Jufro. And like I said, I have other videos just about this. It was an incredible experience, and we shot it. And Oscar Isaac was in and got to meet him, and it was great. From that, I got my SAG card, which is like my union card. SAG is the union in America for TV and film actors. Actually, I think it's worldwide, right? I'm not 100% on that, but... So I got that. Then I got a manager through that as well. And I started to audition for a lot of like really big projects. I remember someone playing the guitar in there. It's kind of nice. Because I'm probably gonna get a copyright strike now from YouTube for having a minute of some song in my video. That does happen, by the way. Anyway, so but yeah, I was auditioning for, I had an audition for the movie Birdman, which won the Oscar for Best Picture, I think in 2014 or 15. And I killed at the audition. But I found out later on when I saw the movie that they went like an entirely different direction with that part, which I was definitely not right for. So I was having like auditions for stuff like that, which was incredible. And then I was in a short film that got to Sundance that was with the actor Martin Starr. And Martin Starr, he's an actor. He's on the show Silicon Valley. He was in like The 40-Year-Old Virgin. He's a very good comedic actor. And it was cool being in a short film with him, especially one that went to Sundance. And then I stayed living in New York, but I eventually realized, like I said, I don't sing, I don't dance. I'm somewhat funny. And, I want to play these kind of like very serious kind of roles. And there's not enough opportunity here for that. So I packed up my bags and I moved to LA. This was like 2013. And I started auditioning for things here. I remember I had auditions for the TV show Glee because that was still on, which was good. And I booked like some small parts in kind of like smaller projects, which is what you do when you're an actor that hasn't, I guess, had their quote unquote big break yet. And you're getting a lot of good experience just being on sets, which is good. And then I kept auditioning for things. I got cast in like some music videos, which was really cool. And unfortunately, around this time, it's not really kind of an easy way to say it, but I had cancer. I was diagnosed with cancer. I have videos of this on my YouTube, YouTube channel as well. So obviously, when something like that happens, you kind of have to put everything in your life on pause. Although I kind of still wish that I hadn't put my acting career on pause as much as I did. I think I took it a little too far. even though I had cancer, right? But I shouldn't have I feel like I neglected it a bit too much, more than I should have at that point. And, but anyway, I got better and was cured, and again, started to just, keep auditioning, trying to build up my just experience being on sets. I was in a lot of student films, a lot of small projects, and then it's 2022 now. A few years ago, I was like, you know what, I don't want to be kind of neglecting my career as an actor to the amount that I had been. And I started really seriously to take it really seriously again and go to auditions and keep building up my resume. And then, of course, COVID hit. And unfortunately, the whole basically industry, shut down, as you probably know. Like, no movies really even were released for a time. And the whole industry got kind of, it stopped. People were saying, high up agents in Hollywood were saying things like, "Oh, this is the worst thing that's ever happened to the entertainment industry," and it really was to a degree. It's just kind of coming back now, And fortunately, since it's been coming back, I booked a role in a TV show on CBS and the CW called I Met My Murderer Online, and that was great. It was one of the biggest projects I'd ever done, and I got paid for it, which was good, a decent amount, which was good. And it was also good because, like I said, this kind of feeling that I'd been neglecting my career too much, and I'm trying to not do that as much. I actually made a kind of, I guess you can call it a goal, where I said, okay, look, I'm going to give myself 2 years to book paid work. And if I don't book it in anything really in 2 years, I'm done with acting. I'm not going to do it anymore as a professional. And I'm going to get like a 9-to-5. 2 weeks before that goal had ended, that date had come up, and this was during COVID, where there was so much less work for everyone. I booked the role in this TV show, and I'm very proud about that. Like, literally 2 weeks. And I was like, I do not want to stop. I do not want to give up on my dream. And I prayed, and I said, please, God, let me book something, because I was completely ready to be like, you know what, at this point, I have to move on. I'm in my 30s. I want a family. I want kids. I want things that I need money for, that I'm only, or not only going, I mean, I could get it through acting, but that I have a more obviously kind of assured amount of money that I could get if I just got a 9-to-5 and stopped my acting career. But I met that goal. I booked this show, and again, I'm back at it, and I'm back at it like, boom, like strict with myself. Acting. I got lucky recently, and I met a producer, and now with this producer, we're working on developing an idea for a TV show that I had. It's a really great idea. I'm very proud of myself that I actually came up with this idea. So that's really cool, and potentially I would even be acting in this show, but it's at a very early stage, and it's who knows what's going to happen. I'm feeling very positive about it. It's a really great connection. A lot of Hollywood is about connections, like maybe you've heard, probably you've heard. It's who you know. It's very true. It is, a lot. There's a lot of actors who say you don't even have to be a good actor until like the third or fourth project. You just have to get lucky for the first one or two and meet some people who can help you out. There's a lot of truth to that. So in 2022, that's where I'm at right now, and just working at it, trying to get as much experience as I can, trying to meet as many people in the industry as I can. And when it comes down to it, if you want to be any type of an artist, you do it out of love. You don't think about the logic behind it. You don't think about the chances of failure, because if you do that, you'll kind of lose your mind, because obviously, logistically, there's a very low chance of you being able to support yourself regularly through your art, be it not just acting, but any art, painting, sculpture, music, dance, anything, writing. And like I said, I had that kind of 2-year thing where I was kind of on a totally logistical, is that the right word? But just on a level, I was ready to kind of give it up and stop completely. I mean, I would still do things that don't pay money or just things to do it, but I was ready to stop, trying to do it professionally. And I didn't, and I made it. And I almost feel like the fact that I got that role was kind of a gift from, God saying this is what you were meant to do, Ben. So that's me right now. And I'm very excited about where I am. And I feel like I know who I am more than I have at any point in my life. And I know the kind of roles that I want to do as an actor, as opposed to when you're just kind of starting out and you want to do everything. Clearly certain actors are better at certain roles than others, and that's where I am. And yeah, just living life one day at a time, every day. Blessed to be alive. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.